Welcome back to another edition of 5-5 Sports. We come into our fourth year, and the NFL is already rocking and rolling. We're into week 3, and there's been a lot of action the first 2 weeks. So we're going to cover a lot of what happened last week. We talked about the best teams and some of the upcoming players in this league that we've seen a lot of good things from. So we'll talk about what we've seen from week 2, what we've liked, maybe what we didn't like, and we'll preview all of the week 3 games. We're going to give our predictions, and this year we're going to keep ourselves accountable because we know the NFL is the hardest league to predict. So we will see how we finish the season. We're going to keep a track starting in week 3 of our record of every single game. So keep tuned for that as we give our weekly predictions. But Matthew, let's jump straight into NFL, and let's start with the game of the week. Baltimore versus the Chiefs. A huge win for Baltimore after a disappointing Monday night game against Vegas. And, football, how quick things can turn. You guys were on the brink of maybe going 0-2, maybe some alarm bells going off. Cleveland playing well in your division, but a big win against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll let you start. Break it down. What did you like the most? And yeah, just give me a little bit of a recap from your perspective.
I think like you point out in our notes of like the part of the show, and like I think that's kind of says it all is the guts that Harbaugh had with Lamar, and I think what we've seen from Harbaugh and Lamar these past few years, I think this kind of like personified like why it worked so well because Harbaugh trusts Lamar's ability. He knows how to get the most out of Lamar's ability because over the years we've seen what Lamar Jackson is able to do, what his athleticism is able to do. And we've also seen what he hasn't been able to do, which he hasn't like solidified his passing game as much as some people would like. But despite his like few weaknesses, Harbaugh knows how to use Lamar as a quarterback that can win games and in crucial moments he trusts Lamar to be able to do what he does. And I think that's kind of basically what we saw this past game. And I think it's something that we haven't seen as much in our Raiders game. I feel like in the Raiders game they seemed a bit more directionless in that first week back. But I think in this game against the Chiefs, they looked a lot more solidified. You could tell that they didn't want to lose the Chiefs again. After losing 2 past years in a row, losing to Mahomes, you can tell that they didn't want to make this a third time to lose them for third in a row. And Lamar was thirsty for a win. That I think sometimes we don't see the full like vengeful mode that we want to in Lamar, and I think that's what we got this past week. And honestly, I still have my worries for the Ravens this season due to all the injuries. But if they keep playing like this, they still have a chance of a good season.
Yeah, the one player that really stood out, rookie away. I mean, just to come up with that play, to knock the ball out from Edwards-Helaire, not only to knock it out, he's the one that recovered it. So really, game ball probably deserves to go to him because without that, they're kicking a field goal. Probably Harrison Butker usually doesn't miss. We know how reliable he's been for the Chiefs. So I mean, games are won and lost in those moments, but I'll stay with Baltimore before I go on to the Chiefs. I think the thing that impressed me the most, I think it is offense, and I think the person that deserves more credit than he's been given is Greg Roman. He's been setting records left, right, and center the last few years for Baltimore's offense, and despite Lamar not being the best throwing quarterback, we know that's just never going to be his forte. He was making a lot of good throws. It wasn't there weren't any like remarkable throws. They were just very good throws that I expect an NFL quarterback to make. But that's what Lamar has to be.
And he made it when he needed them to.
He has to be an average NFL thrower of the football because he's special with his legs, and he's always going to create offense with his legs. That O-line is always going to protect him. Losing those 2 running backs, I don't know how it's going to affect the future of the team going forward. Gus Edwards and Dobbins. Dobbins maybe a little more so because we know he's a little more explosive. Going into his second year, we're going to see another version of Dobbins, like we're kind of seeing a Patrick Queen on the defensive side. He's been absolutely electric to start the season. First 2 weeks, he's been flying. He's been absolutely everywhere, and we're seeing an improved version of Patrick Queen. So get him. I think what you guys get him 28th 2 years ago, late first round. That's looking like a brilliant pick for the Ravens. It's all they do. They seem to draft extremely well. I thought they lost a few guys on defense. I thought maybe that's going to hurt them, but they really haven't skipped a beat. Kansas City was a great offense, but Baltimore matched them. Kansas City had their moments, but it's still early in the season, coming off a loss. They made adjustments in the second half is really when they pushed, and that's when they really started to gain that confidence. And the game came down to the final minute, like it usually does with two great teams in the NFL. And on a Sunday night, it's just the way it goes. And Baltimore came out on top. It's a huge confidence for Lamar Jackson, because just to get that psychological boost, beating Patrick Mahomes, exactly, almost like when Patrick Mahomes beat Tom Brady 2 years ago. That really pushed him on to achieve great things and win the Super Bowl that year. So all in all, great things for Baltimore after a tough week 1 loss. Football changes so quickly week to week, and they have to kick on from here because they're going to be in a competitive division with Cleveland, who is looking very strong. And so whenever they match up, that's going to be a huge game for the two of them. And Pittsburgh really hasn't looked great so far defensively. They're still going to put up a challenge against anyone because they just have so many ballers on that side of the ball. But offensively, Pittsburgh is just, they worry me. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to be nearly as good. Big Ben looks finished. They haven't had a QB really for 3 or 4 years, because if Big Ben's been injured, they've had either Mason Rudolph or whoever else, whatever other backup they've had. They haven't had a great plan at quarterback. And Big Ben's gotten older, he's gone slower, he's been more injured. So they haven't had a plan for Big Ben, and they've been declining for a while. That defense is still top echelon, top tier in the NFL. They'll be competitive. So you're in a tough division. You're going to be in a dogfight. Baltimore's not going to win every game. They're not going to win every game because they do have their liabilities on offense. If you run into a good defense that knows how to stop the run, we know that's Lamar's Achilles heel. So just to summarize what we saw Sunday night, great for Baltimore. We know they're going to be a great team. Lamar is a special player. He won the MVP last year. That's not a fluke, but he definitely still has to prove. He still has to improve on the offense side of the ball. He has to become a better thrower. Marquise Brown started off the season well. Can someone else help him? So Baltimore still has questions to be answered going later on in the season, but it has to be an encouraging sign when you beat the runners up in the Super Bowl.
I think with Harbaugh as a coach, that kind of gives more, like, even despite all the injuries, that kind of gives us more faith in the Ravens, I think. Because I think John Harbaugh, I think he's been consistently not like the best quarterback best coach in the last decade, but he's been consistently been a top 10 coach.
Top 7, I'd say. John Harbaugh has my praise. He is always being a top coach.
Top 10, borderline top 5 coach from the last decade, I'd say. And I think because that's huge.
Injuries, it keeps you competitive.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Despite losing 3 running backs, he'll bring out the most in Tyson Williams, and he'll of course bring the most in Lamar. And also, I think first time I saw an improvement. One player I saw improved from last year, I think, was Marquise Brown.
Mm-hmm. He has improved.
He's running his routes a lot better, moving a lot faster as well. There's a lot to look forward to, Ravens. A lot to be.
I don't know if he's faster. He's pretty fast as a rookie. That's why everyone's kind of high on him. I don't know how much faster a guy could get from being super fast, but I know he looks sharper. Yeah, he looks sharper. Yeah, when you run routes better, you get that separation. And I mean, we know how good the corners and safeties are in this league, but if you run your routes correctly, we see all the best wide receivers in the league. You can't stop them when they're on their game, when they're making those sharp, decisive routes. And that's what we have seen from Marquise Brown over the first 2 weeks. I completely agree. Yeah. Let's transition over to Dallas. 1-1 start, 2 tough games. First one on the road to the defending Super Bowl champions, a close loss. There were moments in that game where Dallas could have won, a few field goals, didn't really execute, but having Dak Prescott back, his first game in a year-ish, so it's definitely huge for Cowboys fans, and they've looked good. The big question mark going into the season, or there's 2 question marks: is Dak going to look healthy, and that defense? And both of them have passed with flying colors over the first 2 weeks.
I have endless faith in the Cowboys offense, because as long as Dak stays healthy, they're going to keep games close. The offense, no matter what, we know what Dak is able to do. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I am I do like Dak Prescott quite a bit. With the 2 running backs of Pollard and Zeke Elliott, that's a good backcourt. Prescott has endless weapons. He has Mark Cooper. He has CeeDee Lamb. He has people to work with, and no matter how bad the defense can play, the offense will keep them in it. And the defense hasn't been playing too bad
Defense being very good. It's not even to say that they've been bad, because we saw what they were last year. They were bad, and over the last 3 years, Dan Quinn's coming in, and I think having the pressure of not being a head coach, I think him and Mike McCarthy are getting along very well. I think they kind of have a similar philosophy, kind of like they are similar age. They've been around the league for a while. They're not, this isn't their first rodeo. And Dan Quinn, we know that he definitely has coaching skills. We saw, he was a big part of the Legion of Boom in Seattle. So I definitely see an improvement in Dallas, especially in that defense, because it's hard not to improve. But the improvement we've seen has definitely been leaps and bounds 2 weeks in against 2 very good offenses. Justin Herbert and the Chargers, weapons galore, great offense. We saw what Justin Herbert could do last year. People are possibly trying to give him Rookie of the Year shots, and he was right up there. Did he win, or was he runner up? Nothing he may have won, but I don't remember winning Rookie of the Year. But now in the back of my mind, I'm thinking maybe he did. I digress. Justin Herbert's the next thing quarterback, whether or not he was first or second in Rookie of the Year voting. For some reason, I don't have. It's just blanking me right now. But Matthew, maybe you can look it up for me while I kind of go on the Cowboys. Micah Parsons, I just want to talk about him. He's looked phenomenal. Came in as a linebacker, but played basically D-end last week, and just getting 8 pressures to the quarterback. I mean, you can tell he's an athlete. He has the confidence. When you watch him in interviews, he has the belief that he is one of the best, and that's what you like to see early on.
I just want to add that he was NFL Rookie of the Year, Justin Herbert.
He was NFL Rookie of the Year. Okay, so I was thinking first or second, ended up being first. So there you go. Beat the Rookie of the Year last year, the Cowboys. But just on Micah Parsons, he has it all, and he has a bright future ahead of him, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. And I think going forward, I think teams will maybe try to challenge him and find different ways to maybe throw him off, and we'll see how Micah Parsons adjusts those challenges. But so far, he's passed with flying colors. Great against Tom Brady, great against Justin Herbert. So we'll see. He said Jalen Hurts is next on his hit list, so we'll see about Monday night if that comes into fruition. But the Dallas secondary, I worry about. They don't have great corners. They have Anthony Brown as their second corner. He's not good enough. He gets toasted by everyone. Antonio Brown just roasted him in the late second half against the Buccaneers. He didn't look great against the Chargers. Keenan Allen was getting separation on him. But look, they know where the holes are. This team, as it currently stands, I can't see winning a Super Bowl because they don't have that defensive. They're not there yet. Just because they played well on defense, unless they continue to prove me wrong. And look, coaches in this league make adjustments. So I'm still waiting for the Cowboys to kind of I'm waiting for them to get figured out a little bit, and for them to maybe get picked apart a little more defensively. But until that happens, I'll stay positive. I'll be encouraged. And offensively, they have a ton of weapons. Zeke hasn't looked great, but Pollard has looked fantastic. Amari Cooper, we know what he can do. He's a veteran. We're not going to learn anything new from Amari Cooper. CeeDee Lamb is the guy I'm looking for. Struggled week 1, a few drops early on, but picked up in the second half, and against the Chargers was great all game. And Dalton Schultz back at tight end, missed a lot of last year with Dak Prescott, but the fact that he's back and playing well, they don't have any holes on offense. And if they get the O-line healthy for a full year, they'll be in the playoffs and they'll win the division pretty easily.
Yeah, for sure. And
it's just a weak division. Look, we saw Washington, they're good defensively, but now they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
And they had a quarterback last year, Alex Smith. Maybe even with Alex Smith, it would have been a challenge. But now with Taylor Heineke, as much as I like him, he's not that guy. I like him as much as the next guy. I was rooting for him tenfold against the Bucks when they played in the playoffs last year. They almost caused an upset, but I think he'll get figured out. He's not that guy, Taylor Heineke. But he's a fun story while he's in the league, no doubt. And they'll be competitive, Washington. I just think it's between them and maybe Philly, because Philly definitely still has their weaknesses. I just think Dallas, with Dak Prescott, will be around 11 wins, and I just can't see anyone in the NFC East competing with that.
No, there's a lot to like about the Cowboys this season, especially in their offense.
Yeah, finally.
The thing that worries me though is I think when Cowboys they play well, and there's no question about that. What they can do. The only thing is when they aren't having a good game, I don't think they have the coaching of Mike McCarthy behind them strong enough to kind of pull them out of that rut. And I think that's kind of going to be the biggest thing with the Cowboys this season. It's when they play well, they'll win.
I think Yeah, I think an even better point. It's not even when they play well, they'll win every time because they'll find ways to make it difficult on themselves. A stupid holding penalty when you're in field goal range, knock you. I mean, they do it every single year. So
Yeah.
like dumb penalties, they'll throw a bad pick, maybe a fumble that just shouldn't happen. Like the Cowboys find ways to make games close and to make your heart ache, whether or not they're playing well or they're playing really well because they're never really in between. But if they're playing well, they'll let the other team back in, and if playing really bad, they'll find a way to come back late in the game. That's just the Cowboys formula. They'll make it close. They'll give you a heart attack, and they'll find a way to lose in the playoffs. Look, it's the formula. It's the Cowboys recipe. I'm as a fan. Look, I'm hopeful. Maybe it's their year this year, as I'm sure the Bengals are hopeful it's their year. But I proceed with caution on the Cowboys. I'm happy with the first 2 weeks. I'll leave it at that, and we'll continue to see how they play on Monday night versus the Eagles. Okay, another team I want to go through over the first 2 weeks, the Raiders. I want to ask you, are they for real? Because a good win against the Ravens, where I think the big question mark was defensively,
Yeah.
and would they be able to compete defensively with the Ravens? And they did. The Ravens really did not play well on
Yeah.
that side of the ball, completely shut down the run. They weren't really getting any throws. Poor offensively, Baltimore. But then they do what they did against the Chiefs, and you kind of look at the Raiders winning again against Pittsburgh, another great defense. Are they for real? Because they've had two very good wins, the Las Vegas Raiders.
I'm gonna say no, because I think what we've seen from the Raiders before is they play up to their competition, and then they also play down to their competition as well. And I don't see that changing this season. No, I think we seen them against the Chiefs last season. I remember like they'll play well against the Chiefs, but then they'll lose to I don't know. I don't remember the schedule from last year, but they'll lose to some very easy
a bad
matchups.
team. Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah.
I don't see any huge changes with the Raiders that will make them look any different from last year. I think it's good for them. I think it was good for them that they got these two huge wins against the Ravens and Steelers. That's definitely a big confidence booster so early on.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, like you said before, there's a lot of good teams in the AFC, and I think they're the ones that will fall short.
Yeah, I think they have players on the defensive side of the ball, and it feels like they'll be in a dogfight for a wild card position because you can't expect the Chiefs not to have 13 at least 13 wins, maybe 14. And it's in a we have 18 games a season, right? It's not 17 anymore. So okay. I said the Cowboys 11 wins earlier. Now I'm thinking maybe 12 or 13. Yeah. Okay, like I'll track a little bit. Yeah, the Chiefs you expect to be around the 13, 14 win mark. Raiders maybe 11, 12. Look, I like their offense, and I think they have added weapons on that side of the ball. We saw Zay Jones make a big catch. Darren Waller, I mean, he was on their entire offense in week 1 against Baltimore.
Single-handedly dismantled our defense, Darren Waller.
I was thinking, I'm like, I guys can like double team him once in a while, but I mean, he's quick, he's big, he has size. I mean, it's almost like Rob Gronkowski, but just a different human being.
After Travis Kelce, he's the best 10 in the league right now.
Can we do we discount Gronk though after what he's done?
Oh, I mean, like not
do we? I don't know.
Best of all time. Gronk is definitely, but like
maybe yeah. If we're talking about right now, yeah. Look, Darren Waller is I guess right behind Travis Kelce. It's tough. It's tough to analyze the Raiders. It really is. I was talking with Zay Jones. They have other receivers. So Henry Ruggs has a lot of speed. Brian Edwards, he almost won the game against the Ravens in that overtime where he stopped in the 1 yard line, and then the Raiders decided to self implode on themselves. And Hunter Renfrow, I like a lot. I think he has a lot of talent. Look, they have I think 4 very good receivers that they can use, and they have Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs. They have a very good running back, and they have a solid O-line behind that. If they cut out the bad losses, they will be in the playoffs because they'll play up to their competition, as you said. But if they eliminate the shit losses and the penalties they got so many penalties out last year that just killed them. I think they fixed a lot of problems on the defensive side of the ball. I think John Gruden has an identity of the way he's kind of coaching this team. Derek Carr seems to have a great relationship with the head coach, which is huge. in
But
any
Derek
NFL
Carr, he
team.
has been inconsistent.
He's not bad. He's been inconsistent, but I think this could be. I think he has weapons
I
now.
think he's a little
I think
underrated. He's a little
when you
underrated.
have Derek, a little bit, not really, because like based off previous years, we've judged him appropriately. They've
Okay,
had
yeah.
bad losses, but he can change the narrative on his entire career if he steps up this year.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a huge year for them. It's been a great start. And yeah, one of the other teams I was just off to a fantastic start, and they could be for real. They really are, because defensively they looked fantastic against one good offense and one Big Ben. And defensively and offensively they've held their own against two very good defenses in the NFC North. I see not. I mean, look, week to week they get injuries. Darren Waller tears the ACL, their season's done, right? Things could happen so quickly in this league, but for now, they're a playoff team if healthy. I'm absolutely convinced. I'll probably be wrong, but I'm convinced.
I'm not counting out, but
You can't. But
yeah, but
yeah,
I'm
track record. Yeah,
track record. I'm cautious about the Raiders. I'll be cautious about them, but I'm not counting them out.
Okay. I want to ask about another 2-0 team. Almost not 2-0. If the Vikings would have kicked that, or not kicked it, if they would have converted the last second field goal. But the Arizona Cardinals are 2-0, and an impressive 2-0, because they dismantled Tennessee week 1. We know Tennessee is always they're slow starters. It's just in their history, but backing it up with a great offensive performance against the Minnesota Vikings, who have a decent defense. I wouldn't put them in that top tier, but they are a decent defense. And look, Arizona has weapons on both sides of the field again. Defensively, adding J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones looks fantastic. Isaiah Simmons, second year now. He was great last year. Their secondary, they got a lot of guys in there. Yeah, what's Arizona's ceiling? Are they for real with Kyler Murray? Because he looks like a video game player right now.
Honestly, I know you and I had a debate on Kyler Murray last year. I remember I was more sold on him. You weren't quite convinced yet. But I gotta be honest, if I'll compare to Lamar Jackson. If Lamar Jackson was able to prove on his one weakness, he would be just like Kyler Murray, or he would basically be like Kyler Murray. If he was able to just improve on his one thing, if he had a stronger arm, he would then be Kyler Murray. Because Kyler Murray is kind of what I want to see from Lamar. Yeah, he has the arm.
The one thing just on his arm, he's been making these throws off his back foot, or he's just jumping in the air and he's throwing it 30. I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, this is now, again, we saw like Lamar kind of break ground, with his, abilities, the leg.
Yeah.
But Kyler Murray has that threat with his legs, but he has an arm and he's making accurate throws. And whenever they go deep, they usually have someone running in right behind, whether it's Christian Kirk last year, did it a ton. I forget who was doing it this year. I picked them up in fantasy, so it's kind of driving me nuts. I'll check on that in a second, but are they for real? Because they have so much talent. And I was talking about their secondary. Look, Budda Baker, he is a lockdown safety. I mean, there's no holes. I'm struggling to find the holes on this Cardinals team. It doesn't seem to be one.
I'll say this. I think I'm pretty sure now they will be a wild card team this year. I don't think they could
win the division.
Only reason is because it's a hard division. I think it'll go.
It is, but so I'm thinking of Rondale Moore. That's what I'm thinking.
Rondale Moore.
Yeah. I mean, brilliant last week. His first catch, it's like 60 yards, and he's just wide open. So walks into the end zone. I love it. I love everything about the Cardinals right now. Tell me why they're going to struggle. I need to doubt myself on why the Cardinals can't win this year.
It'll only come down to I can't give an answer to that, because it'll only come down to just our team just outperforming them or outscoring them, because their offense is a real threat in the league right now. And Kyler Murray, after Mahomes, he's looking like one of the, not the best necessarily, but one of the most skilled quarterbacks in the league right now. Like after Mahomes, I would put Kyler Murray right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to argue. I want to, but just everything I've seen from Kyler Murray I'm just so happy when I just think about what he's doing. He's changing the game of football. He is, and I'm convinced by that. And with Hopkins, with Kirk, now with Rondale Moore, they don't have a great running game. I worry about that. We saw that last year. They thought maybe Kenyon Drake was going to be the guy, but Kyler Murray is really like their primary running back, if we're being honest.
He used Chase Edmonds like a receiver.
Exactly. And whenever they would use running backs last year, they would be used as kind of receivers. I'm thinking they got someone else this year. The
Connor.
Cardinals. Yeah, not James Conner, someone else though. James Conner is not it. He's washed. He had one season in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Whatever, they had a great line. He had his moments. La di da di da. He's not very good. I'm just trying to think of who I'm thinking of. It drives me nuts when I can't. Chase Edmonds. That's what I'm thinking of. He's been okay, but we talked about him. They use him as a running back, or so they use him as a receiver, and like they have a plan. Cliff Kingsbury. Yeah, he seems to have everything going in gear. I mean, everything's just kind of churning. Everything's in sync with him.
It's
the young phenom.
It's reminding me of Kyler Murray. Reminding me a lot of Russell Wilson early last season,
where they're
just kind of letting him just like cook with his like arm and letting him run when he need to. And
then I think that's DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, the dynamic duo. Yeah, they have everything going for them. Arizona's going to be a tough beat week in, week out. I was surprised the way they struggled against Minnesota, especially watching Minnesota's game against Cincinnati week 1. But hey, you only every week's a new game, right, in the NFL. So Cardinals look great. And let's talk about another team that looked great last week, the Tennessee Titans. And I want to ask you about Ryan Tannehill. Can he be a Super Bowl winning QB? Because we've seen the Titans in the playoffs. We've seen how good their offense is. We've seen how good their defense is. Derrick Henry is just a freak of nature. I mean, good luck stopping Derrick Henry when he's at his best. Seattle couldn't. And it comes down to the quarterback now with Tennessee. And Tannehill has been very good the last few years. Can he be the guy? Yes or no? Let's make it real simple.
He can be. Oh, okay, yeah, make it simple. My answer's not going to be that simple.
Because we have to, because we've been on the fence a little bit today on some things, but Tennessee, we're not learning anything by Tennessee. They've had pretty much, the same, a few additions here and there, but pretty similar line from the previous few years. Defense, they really haven't changed too much. And now they add Julio Jones on top of having AJ Brown. So now they have, just pretty good wide receivers. They have that 1-2 threat.
To put plainly, yes.
Can Ryan Tannehill win the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Can Tennessee do it?
Tannehill can win the Super Bowl but it won't be solely because of Tannehill's ability, but because of the team, and Tannehill can do enough to bring a team to the Super Bowl. It's like, I think I'm comparing it to a quarterback like Jared Goff, who was able to bring the Rams to the Super Bowl, even though they lost to the Patriots. Yeah. Like Jared Goff, he's not a quarterback you'd consider, this is a Super Bowl win quarterback, but he would have won with the Rams, and he will have done enough to help them.
He would have gotten the credit for it. Yeah,
he would have gotten credit. Even my own team, the Ravens, Trent Dilfer won our first ever quarterback. Tell me, what else is Trent Dilfer known for? And Tannehill is better than Trent Dilfer. I'll argue that he's better than Goff, but it won't be because of him necessarily that Titans win the Super Bowl. But a quarterback like Goff, like Tannehill, can win.
I'd say Tennessee has been a little unlucky because ever since they became good in the AFC has kind of taken over the NFC. And the NFC was really the dominant conference for maybe 5, 7, 10 years, give or take. They're always this. There's always a few more stronger teams, and there's usually like a 5-6 team in the AFC that kind of
like Packers, Saints, 49ers, Seattle, just all these great teams coming in.
Yeah, Dallas was good once in a while, so they would be competitive. They never won anything.
Sorry, I should mention the Cowboys as well.
No, please, no, I wouldn't mention them in the upper echelon of the NFC of the last 20 years. Please, no. Yeah, it's a little unlucky because ever since Mike Vrabel came in, like they've gone better, but so is the rest of the AFC. And now there's really 10, 11 teams in the AFC that you're thinking they could win the Super Bowl. Like you're thinking, I think there's maybe 7 teams in the AFC, and maybe I'll shorten that to maybe 6 or 5 as we go on in the season. We make bolder predictions, but yeah, I'm trying to buy into Tannehill. I'm trying. He's good. He doesn't seem that good, but they have so many weapons. He doesn't have to be great. He just has to put in the right area. So I'm convinced this team's going to be in the playoffs because when you have a guy like Derrick Henry eating up clock, eating up yards, I mean, it makes your life so much easier. Yeah. And, he gets good protection. He'll make throws to Julio. We need to see more from Julio for sure. 2 weeks to be a slow start, but I'm not going to judge a receiver on a new team in the first 2 weeks. We've seen Julio's pedigree. We've seen his track record. And AJ Brown, he has all the athletic tools in his locker to become a great NFL receiver. Yeah. So verdict's out on Tennessee, and we have to see as they progress because they looked horrible against Arizona. But to come back in Seattle, that's just that could set you up for the rest of the season very nicely. Yes, one other team I wanted to really cover. It's a new look New England Patriots because they have Big Mac in there, Mac Jones. I just want to ask you, what is his ceiling? Have you kind of gotten a good feel over the first 2 weeks on what you think Mac Jones can be? I've seen Tom Brady 2.0. I'm not gonna make you say that, but it hasn't been bad for Mac Jones. He's looked good.
It hasn't been bad, and I don't know if I'll go say Tom Brady 2.0 yet.
No, I'm not.
But like,
I've heard it said.
I mean, he's playing under Belichick's system. Any quarterback who plays under Belichick, we talked about our great coaches, they'll get the most out of players.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of the perfect situation for Mac Jones to eventually thrive as a quarterback. And I do think, I don't think he'll be like one of the greatest of all time like Tom Brady is, but I think he will serve the Patriots well for the future, I believe. And under Belichick's leadership, I think something that didn't work with Belichick and Brady later on is like Belichick was kind of treating Brady still as a student even in his 40s. I think having Mac Jones who can actually be that student for Belichick again will kind of fit better for him. And I also just think that the Patriots offense needs more weapons, to be honest, and for Mac Jones to really be a solidified quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. They definitely don't have that offensive super power that other teams have in their locker. Just on Mac Jones, you feel like he's definitely a handpicked because you think about Nick Saban and Bill Belichick's relationship, they definitely talk. Bill maybe calls Nick, what do you think of this guy? Can he be in the NFL? Nick, yeah, this guy's it. So, I don't know what those conversations are like, but there's definitely some conversation between the two of them. Yeah. That's just the way the NFL works. So he's looked good. He's being pretty safe with Mac Jones, and they've not tried anything too complicated. But whenever he's had the opportunity to make a good throw, whenever he has to put it on a plate, he has done that so far. So it's been a mixed bag. I think he's definitely overthrown a few guys. We've seen that. Yeah. So,
but those are young mistakes.
Exactly. So we'll see how he develops this season. Luckily, he's in Buffalo is probably going to win that division, but Miami without Tua, we'll see how much they kind of struggle. The Jets. God, the Jets stink. So look, they're in a decent division. They have a chance to maybe be a wild card team if they get 11 wins, but that's going to be a tough ask because when you have a rookie QB and not great offensive weapons, you're asking the defense to do a lot, and I don't think that defense is what it used to be. They still have playmakers and they're still extremely well coached. It just feels like there's other defenses that you take over them and they just don't feel like they're at that level yet. They could because of the Patriots and Bill Belichick basically sold his soul to Satan, so they could easily win the Super Bowl this year. But the verdict's yet to be decided on Mac Jones and the Patriots this year because they just haven't had the competition. Because they played the Jets, Miami in week 1, tough loss, but they could have won. And then the Jets are the Jets. If you lose to the Jets, you should be banned from the league. That's my position on it this year, and basically every year going forward.
That's a fair statement. That's fair.
Like you can't lose to them. It's like I think the Jets and the Jaguars. If you lose to one of them, like it should be counted as like 3 losses. Because it's pathetic if you lose to them. But look, it won't count as 3 losses. It will count as 1. And on that note, I do want to I want quick predictions for this week's games. I want to see, we will keep track on how many we get right and wrong throughout the year. Mm-hmm. So are you ready?
Yeah.
Now we have we've never done this before. We've never held ourselves accountable. So we're going to keep a record of how we do on NFL predictions this year. We start in week 3, but better late than never, right? So let's start. Chargers, Chiefs. Who's going to win?
I'll go Chiefs. I'll go Chargers, but they aren't the Chiefs.
Yeah, like the Chiefs, just on the spread, the Chiefs will always be massive favorites. The Chargers are going to play them well. We know the Chargers are going to come out to play. They have great guys on defense. Watch out. It's not going to be as easy as, it should be for the Chiefs or as easy as it could be. As long as the Chargers show up. I think it'll be a little more defensive to start. I think maybe feel each other out. But when you have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce on offense is sometimes it's inevitable that you'll find a way to win.
I expect a good like QB matchup between Herbert and Mahomes. Really, like
Yeah, I agree. Cardinals and Jaguars. Could we just say the Cardinals
Cardinals.
and okay. Bears and Browns. I have to go with Cleveland here. I just
Uh,
again you
also I
can't
gotta go with the
trust.
Browns.
I'll never trust. It's like Chicago. Yeah, unless we see
Look,
they
Justin
may
Fields
game they,
might
they
break
may
out.
game plan out for Justin Fields. It'll be interesting to watch Justin Fields because they definitely had a game plan for Andy Dalton.
Yeah,
Last week he gets injured early on, so you can't judge a rookie QB that has to come in for an injured player. But yeah, the Browns they look too good, and Cleveland. Bills Washington Bills just
yeah.
because I think it'll be a close game though. The Bills on the spread 9.5. Am I really spotting Buffalo 9.5 points? No. I think Washington will definitely cover because they are very good defensively. But if the Bills can't figure out their offense, they struggled a little bit the first 2 weeks. It wasn't really, even though they won 35-0 last week, it wasn't really because their offense or defense is shut down Miami. So that's what it comes down to. I have the Bills
Yeah.
just Colts Titans. This is now one that will be interesting. Who do you have here? 0-2 Colts, 1-1 Titans.
I actually have
Now
the
we're getting
Colts.
to some of the big, yeah.
I have the Colts. I don't know. I mean, do we know is Wentz playing this week?
He's playing, but I have to go with the Titans because I don't trust a 2 sprained ankle. I don't know how you sprain both ankles in a one play. Like that's impressive.
It is.
It's fairly impressive. I think the Titans are 3-point favorites. I have to go with the Titans. Just coming off that win last week, I think they'll find a way to win. But
I just think Colts are bound for a win soon. You know, like
yeah,
I like this team a lot. I
I know
don't
what
think
you mean. It's like they're due for a win, and like they could easily upset the Titans, but Titans at home with the momentum, I'm struggling. I'm struggling to
that's fair.
think the Colts are kind of gonna find a way in that one. This one I've gone back and forth on. This is maybe my most 50-50 of the week. That and the Green Bay game, but the Saints and Patriots. It's tough this one because the Saints were a mixed bag. Week 1 great against Green Bay, but Green Bay we don't know what they're going to be this year, and then they look horrible against Carolina, who looks fantastic. So it's mixed bag for New Orleans. I just don't know how to call this game.
I'm going Patriots. You know, like when they'll just go for Belichick. You know, like
Yeah, it's not even the Belichick. We have to remember Sean Payton's going to game plan too, and
yes, yeah.
he's going to have a game plan for Mac Jones. I think Patriots 3-point favorites. I have the Saints. I expect them to bounce back. That's what the Saints do. They're not at home, but I think that they're playing with some extra heart, especially with the Hurricane. They haven't been able to be home yet. They played week 1 in I think it was Jacksonville against Green
Yeah.
Bay. So I think the Saints they'll be hungry, and defensively they have the players to kind of limit the Patriots offense and the to really kind of make it difficult for Mac Jones. They don't have the weapons, as we said earlier, the Patriots. So I think in a low scoring game, maybe like 20-17, I think the Saints have the edge in that one.
These are
Moving
really two
on.
teams
Yeah.
where like 3 years ago, this would have been like a marquee like
Game of the week.
matchup. Yeah,
These are two teams that kind of in transition. You don't know what
yeah,
Jameis can be with the Saints, and we don't know what Mac Jones will be with the Patriots. So
yeah.
incredibly tough game to call with two great defenses. So I expect a good defensive game. Maybe Jameis with a couple picks in there. Who knows? Falcons Giants again, just two horrible teams.
Oh my goodness.
Good luck. Who do you think is gonna find a way to
Who's
choke
watching
in
this
this
game?
one? Oh, I'm watching this game. I love it.
I'm going with the Falcons. Like, I think like Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, like that. That's probably the most like positive thing
It's
to
like
that
you're
team.
banking on that.
Yeah,
I think the Giants might get one here. The Falcons could go downhill a lot. They have Kyle Pitts. Again, with Calvin Ridley, Matt Ryan, you always maybe expect has something, but I think the Giants are going to be ready for this game. Saquon, there'll be definitely a big onus on him, but they have the receivers. If Daniel Jones doesn't struggle early on, I
he looked
think
better this season. Dan Jones, I gotta say,
he
despite the
does look
losses.
better. So it's going to be a challenge for the Falcons defense because the Falcons defense is just horrible. So it feels like a very high scoring game, and just it feels like
No
someone's gonna
defense, you know, like
it feels like someone's going to find a way to lose this game rather than someone's going to win. So I think the Falcons are 3-point favorites. I have to go with the Giants here just because they're at home. And whenever I trust the Falcons, they let me down. So I'm gonna I'll say the Giants probably to win like 33-30. It's
Again, fair.
a horrible game to watch, but yeah, it'll be a game full of mistakes. Another interesting game, the Bengals with the Steelers. Steelers at home. Who do you like here? I like the Steelers to bounce back. Because the Bengals I don't trust. They have no O-line. I think Pittsburgh's just they're gonna have pressure on Joe Burrow all day. And I think that you're gonna find, even though I like Jamar Chase, their decision to not draft an O-lineman is gonna hurt at that 6th spot because
No,
they
I
needed help there.
I agree. The Steelers. I don't think I think it'll be a pretty close game.
Yeah, but at home, bouncing back, I
Yeah.
just Mike Tomlin. I expect a game plan. They have offensive weapons in Claypool
A part of us is
and
saying
Juju.
upset and pick Bengals.
Yeah, and
but
it could happen because the Bengals, especially in week 1, looked good against Minnesota, and then
Yeah.
in turn, Minnesota looked very good against Arizona, who were off to a flying start against Tennessee. So again, it's just so tough to see how these two teams match up.
if
But
TJ Watt's hurt, right? Like,
is he hurt? No, I think he's. I think he's playing.
He's playing, but he still might be a little hurt though. Like he might not
Yeah,
be
but
100%.
they have 5 or 6 guys on the D
That's
line
true.
that create pressure. I just think the Steelers always get pressure. Joe Burrow, you think has to be perfect against Pittsburgh's defense. I just like Pittsburgh in a close game. Bet the under in this one. It feels like not too many points are going to be on the board. I just think the Steelers defense is just that good. They still are.
I marginally pick the Steelers over the Bengals.
That can't be right. No, that is right. Ravens, Lions.
Ravens.
I see nothing. Yeah, the Lions are just horrible. Ravens coming off a big win. I think it'll be closer than people expect. There's an 8-point spread, and whenever there's an 8-point spread, especially with a team as bad as Detroit, you'd like to just think, ooh, Baltimore's going to easily cover. Maybe not. I think Baltimore should win. But sometimes when a spread looks too good to be true, the other team finds a way to backdoor cover it. So I'll say maybe bet Detroit on the backdoor cover, but the Ravens should have no problem with the Detroit Lions. Like if Green Bay with all their problems had no problem covering 11, the Ravens should on the road be able to win versus the Lions. Not about covering unless you're a gambling fan. It's all about winning if you're in the NFL. Jets, Broncos. God, the Broncos should murder them. The Jets are. If you haven't seen that 12-year-old roast the Jets on TikTok on that one play where they had no, I remember they had no pressure. So one guy's just coming inside. There's 2 linemen like just staring at each other. One guy's like tripped over the other guy. And then just top it off, Zach Wilson throws the pick. If you haven't seen on TikTok, there's a 12-year-old that breaks down that one play. It sums up the Jets basically in a nutshell. Broncos big. Dolphins, Raiders. I have to go Raiders. Dolphins. Is Tua back? I don't think he is.
No, I don't think he is.
No, Tua's not back. I have the Raiders. They just look too good at home. Spotted 4 points. Miami does have a very good defense, so it will be a test for the Raiders. The Raiders do have to win. It will be a challenge because defensively, Brian Flores has playing very well, and they have been for a while. Miami creates turnovers, so again, it should be a close game. I'm going the under here, but I think the Raiders have just the confidence and the edge. But the Dolphins, I wouldn't be surprised if they pull off an upset here.
I was surprised, but
even with the backup, because I trust coaching and I trust what Miami does. It's not going coming off a 35-0 loss. They'll be ready for this game. Like
that's true.
They have pride, Miami. We know that.
That's true. But I give the edge to Raiders.
Yes, I agree. Seahawks, Vikings, tough game to call. You know what? I'm gonna go Minnesota. Because Minnesota's at home. It's tough.
I'm going Seattle.
Seattle may have the edge. I trust Russell Wilson more than I do Kirk Cousins. Yeah. That's a big factor. Seattle's defense is so bad. They haven't fixed up that defense. They do have playmakers on defense, but they're not playing well. So I expect a close, high-scoring game. But yeah, I don't bet against Russell Wilson against a bad defense. So running the Seahawks. Game of the week: Buccaneers versus the LA Rams.
Oof, this is going to be a good matchup. I'm going with the Rams.
I'm going Tom Brady. It's tough. I have to go Tom Brady. I think he's playing on another level right now. The defense, they're playing well. It's going to be a close game. You flip a coin. If it's a blowout, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
But I think if it is a blowout, it could be for the Rams, just off momentum playing at home. But if it's a blowout, yeah, I'd see everything. So
I really like the Rams this season, though. You know, I think I love the Stafford Cooper Kupp connection,
mm-hmm.
And the defense. I put their defense ahead over the Buccaneers as well. So Buccaneers is definitely gonna make a good game. I gotta go with the Rams still.
Okay. Packers, Niners. I'm going with the Niners. I do not trust Green Bay. I saw them against New Orleans. They sucked. In Detroit, I don't count that as a game. I have the Niners at home against the Packers.
I will. I agree with you that I don't fully trust the Packers this season. That being said, I don't fully trust the
The
Niners either.
49ers, I know.
Yeah, so I'm giving the edge to the Packers for me. I think Aaron Rodgers again, he'll
Okay.
do enough to bring the team up.
Okay. And finally, Eagles, Cowboys. I have the Cowboys because the Eagles suck. They beat a pretty bad Atlanta team, but we too struggle against the Niners. I'm going with the Cowboys. They look much better in a close game. I have the Cowboys by like 3.
Just for the fun of it, I'm just gonna pick the Eagles. Just for the fun of it. I understand every argument for the Cowboys, but I'm picking the Eagles.
And we will see what happens. Thank you for listening to this week's edition of 5-5 Sports. We're back for the season. We're excited to preview all the NFL games that we have this season, as well as upcoming NHL and NBA games that are coming in October. We'll be there to cover it throughout the season, so stay tuned for that. As always, thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week.
Thanks for listening.
Have a good week, guys.